Hey YouTube, today we're going to look at this rifle, this 308 rifle that I set a scope up on for do a little long range shooting. Now I've shown the rifle before, but I've done a couple changes to it since the last time I showed it to you, and I'm going to get up close here and I'm going to show you what I've done to this. Now folks, I want you to bear with me for a little bit. I've been a little ill. So I've been away from this for a little while, and I still don't completely have my voice back or anything, so please bear with me and be patient with me. So what we have here is we have a Savage Model 11. It's chambered in 308, and I'm going to get a little bit closer here. We're going to walk around this a little bit, and I'm going to show you some of the stuff that I've done to it here recently. So before we go any further, I'm going to open this bolt up. I'm going to show you there's nothing in this thing, and we're clear to look at this rifle. So one of the first things I did to this rifle here was I ordered a custom darkeagle custom magazine. This is a 10 round magazine, and this is for Savage rifles. Now I prefer Savage rifles because of the action that they have. They have the AccuTrigger in them, and I love the action, but they're very limited on some of the magazines. You can't get higher capacity magazines, you can't get really good magazines. Well, this company here is called darkeagle Customs, and they hand make these magazines for the Savage rifles, and I've put one of them in. Now if you look real close here, it has an extended little magazine release on the bottom, so it makes it easy to release the magazine. So it just sticks out the bottom a little bit on it. So one of the other things I did to this thing is I just put a cheap, like little cheek riser here on the end of it. I'm not a professional long range shooter or anything, folks. It just gives you something to rest your cheek on when you're shooting a little bit of long range shooting. So we're going to go into the meat and potatoes of it, what we really did to it. And we'll start from the bottom up. I put a Nightforce 0 MOA rail on the bottom of it to mount a scope to. Now this particular Savage model rifle comes with these little individual little rails that mount on the front and the back of the receiver. Well, I added a Nightforce extreme duty rail to it, and it's a 0 MOA, so there's no cant to it whatsoever. And then I put Nightforce extreme duty 6-bolt rings on it to mount the scope on, and these things are awesome. They're really thick and they're really beefy, so you have to really pay attention to your torquing when you do it. They're a lot heavier duty than a regular 4-bolt rings on it. So then I put a Nightforce 12 to 42 by 56 bench rest scope on it, and we'll walk around this very slow, and I'll show you some of the features of this scope, because this is where all the money is, folks, is in the scope when you're long range shooting. You look up real close, it says 12 to 42 by 56, and there's a lot more to it than just bolting on the scope, folks. When you're putting on a scope on a long range rifle, you have to pay very close attention to what you're doing here, and you have to figure out all the cants and everything. Like this is a 0 MOA rail, and then you got to buy the correct height the correct height rings, and then when you put the scope on, you want to get it as close to the barrel as you can without actually touching it. And there's just a lot goes into it. You got to make sure this thing's all squared up. You got to make sure it's perfectly level. So what I have is a professional gun vise, and I mounted this thing in, leveled everything off, before I mounted it. Everything's correctly torqued, everything's perfectly level, and this scope is on here right, folks. So I just wanted to show you a Nightforce 12 to 42 by 56 scope mounted on my Savage Model 11 308 rifle. The trigger is adjusted down to about 1.5 pounds on it, so very light trigger, very very good optic on it, very good mounting system on it. This thing's got the top notch of everything. I was into long range shooting many years ago. I tried to get into it, and I gave up pretty quick because there's a lot more to it than just loading bullets in a rifle and going out and doing it. And there's a lot more to mounting a scope than there is just tightening the bolts down on it, folks. And I've learned a lot in the years since I've been into it, and we're going to give this another whirl, and I'm going to get back to you and give you a report on what it's all done. But just mounting the scope is a lot more entailed than a lot of people realize. It's not just as easy as just tightening some bolts on, folks. You really have to pay attention when you get into some of these high-end optics, putting them on rifles. Anyway, folks, once again, I'm going to apologize for my voice, and been ill and haven't been on here as much, and I've just been messing with this rifle, trying to get better and get back at it. So let me know what you think of this little setup, and thank you very much for watching my video today, and you folks have a great day.